Yeah, boom, we inside. You miss me? This is the King's Throne Room with your boy Holder. This is episode 2 recording, and we're gonna try to do something a little different for this time with the podcast. We're gonna actually talk about something that going on, something that is breaking news. As of yesterday, the needles have gone out. That's right. COVID-19 needles have gone out, people. The vaccine has hit the beautiful shores of Trinidad and Tobago. Essential workers get took first. And, I was outside there and, I was outside hanging out and I went, to the health clinic, not to get injected, but that some other business. And I was hearing them talking about, I was like, what are you talking about? That couldn't happen now. But yes, it has happened. No, for now. The needles have reached the beautiful shore of Trinidad and Tobago. And now we have a situation where it's either you get chook or you get buck. You understand? Because the way that we deal in the as our fellow Facebooker would say, the beautiful republic of communism and terror that is now unfortunately known as Trinidad and Tobago. Now, I know some of you liberals and some of you soft hearts are saying, well, you shouldn't get on like that. You shouldn't be moving so, because Trinidad is a beautiful country. It was a beautiful country till these bitches got their hands on it and ruined everything, completely tore everything to pieces. Yes, they did. They didn't make no hesitation, stick. They didn't give a fuck what they did to this country. As long as they got their slice, as long as they got their, as they say, their piece of the pie, as long as they get their play, they don't care what happened to you or your children or your offspring or your pickaninny or your kids, whatever all you're calling all your children. They do business, because the kids will soon be getting that needle shot. Yes, they will. Now, looking at it from a foreign perspective, looking around the world, we have to ask ourselves, is this vaccine safe for the people of Trinidad and Tobago? Can this vaccine that they're releasing into the atmosphere, into the country, into the world, so to speak, is this vaccine really safe for the people of our republic? And what happens if we don't take the vaccine? What happens to the people that refuse to take it on either religious grounds, or they might just not want to take a vaccine at all? A vaccine that normally science would tell you takes at least 10 years to make. But nobody looking at how this whole bacchanal happened. When the coronavirus first happened, we took it as a joke, a passing cloud, a flu, a flukes that couldn't affect anything in the wider aspera of the world. Now look at it. It shut down parties, it shut down movie premieres, it shut down the mighty Hollywood, it even shut down Carnival. Yes. The fetting and whining event for 2 days going mad in Trinidad and Tobago has been stopped by this Chinese-born virus. But no one is asking the question, how it even get out in Wuhan? And if you look at the world now, the most funny thing is that the lowest rated place for the COVID-19 virus is China. I can't make up that. I'm not that good and I'm not that creative to make that up. These people are playing games with us. Games, and more games. So just take a listen and think as I talk about this and break it down in the second episode of my podcast. Breaking news, well, this is not a joke. This is not a game or a play or play on words. You're going to have to get injected. Will you, listening to this podcast, be getting that COVID-19 injection? I mean, you have to look at it from every angle. You have to look at it from every point of view. You have to look at it from every single angle, every point of view. You understand? Is it that if you don't take the injection and you don't take your choke, you're going to get in trouble? You're going to take what you have built over this is a country of democracy. So what happens when the people of Trinidad and Tobago, if they do rise and say, we don't want this vaccine, we don't want this, we don't want to do this thing because we don't like it, we don't want it, we don't need it, and we're not favoring getting injected by a substance that, do we know if this has been tested? Do we know how effective this is? And if they want us to take this injection, I would like to see some government minister, Chiren and herself, be injected with the COVID-19 vaccine also. Because we all living in the same country, we all under the same strain, pain, and we do want the vaccine. We do want the COVID to go, but not at the risk of taking something that might not be that tested and might not actually fix the problem but make it worse. Now, with all of the things that have been happening in Trinidad and Tobago since this come out, the cabin fever, the everything, people are slowly, mental health in Trinidad is deteriorating at a rate never before seen in the country of Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, people are literally walking around mad. They're walking around mentally disturbed. They're walking around, they're cracking up. They can't take it no more. It's getting to a point where you're wondering if the person that you're good with, you're locked up in the same house with, might snap one day and kill you, the dog, and burn down the house because they've been inside for so long. You see, I don't want to take sides and sound like I'm biased, but with everything that's happening, we're seeing a certain group of people, I've said it in episode 1, I'll say it here again, a certain group of people being allowed to have the weddings. It seems like nothing is stopping for them. They keep doing the thing. No one telling them, hey, stop. All you can't be doing that. All you can't be on that play. All you can't be just doing all you want, anytime all you want, whenever all you want. Nobody's telling them that they have to stop doing what they're doing. They're just doing what they want all the time, anytime, whenever they want. Now, if we do that, we of the 99%, we get arrested, we get busted, you get your face all up on Facebook or Instagram, wherever, the zazzas and everything like that. They make you out, they embarrass you, they put your face up on the Facebook. Look this ass, look we catch this one there, look them breaking COVID rules. But if it's a party in the Morins, it's no issue. You understand? It's no issue. It's almost like this thing hasn't affected them in the same way it's affected us. And it's as if it's no big deal, it's no big scene, it's no kind of thing. So that's the first topic that I want to address. What is your view? Listening to this podcast, if you comment on it there below as you listen to what I'm saying, the COVID-19 virus has hit the shores of Trinidad. The COVID-19 vaccine, my mistake, has hit the shores of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, what will be our position with that? How are we going to deal with the COVID-19 vaccine? How are we going to deal with that? Because some people aren't going to want to take it, just like there are people who don't, to this day, want to wear this mask. They say that it's stifling and is inconvenient, and some people don't like. They try to style it up. I see people putting on all kind of thing on their mask and all kind of thing, and people really trying to follow some of the restrictions. But I think it is a give and a take. If they have to wear the mask, I think that maybe they should be allowed to choose if they want to take this vaccine or not, because we're walking on a very slippery slope here. I'm telling you, this is not something that you could force on people, because there will be people who will be contrarian and will look at this. Even the religious will look at this as a sign of the end time. Some people say it's microchipping the thing and they're trying to wire you, mark of the beast, all this kind of stuff like that. So it's not everybody going to be susceptible to take it. So that's the first topic of the podcast. What is your view on the COVID-19 vaccine, and will you be taking it, or do you think the COVID-19 vaccine will in fact benefit the country of Trinidad and Tobago? in the fight against COVID-19. Now, now, in next breaking news, the next topic for the podcast, Cams and Gary going at it, going at it, going at it. Yes, yes, yes. Facts in the nation. Gary Griffith and Kamla Bissad Bissassa. Oh my God. This is Commerson Bacchanal and utter confusion. And I bring this part in because the political shit show that is Trinidad and Tobago is total confusion and madness. Now, while I don't myself mix up too much in the politics and the whole thing, because I know at the end of the day, ain't much really gonna change. We still had to go to work, alright, people? But the focus on the little petty back and forth bacchanal, when we have real issues going on in this country, in Trinidad and Tobago, isn't something that most of us really care about. Nobody cared that you and he had a little back and forth, because at the end of the day, these people live a different life than most of the people who they're over. They don't really live the life of the average man in Trinidad and Tobago. The average man in Trinidad and Tobago really cares about having a better life for his people, his family, and whatever like that. And to see the two of them fighting is frankly, in my opinion, a distraction. It's a distraction. It's a game. It's a little shot and a little, a flash in the pan that I suspect in 9 days will be all forgotten about. Because we might think these people are enemies or they don't get along with one another. But that's not true. Who knows what they're doing in the back alley boys club? They're probably clinking glass, laughing and having a good old time on your expense. On your expense. They have the budget coming up and people are going to be very much frightened because that budget ain't looking like it going to be no normal kind of thing. It's going to be a lot of commerce. Let me tell you, it ain't going to be no normal thing. If you think times hard now, they're only going to get worse. They're only going to get more chaotic as this goes down. This whole virus bacchanal has been an excuse for a lot of reprehensible characters to steal, thief, rob, loot, and rape and molest the treasury. But they've been doing that for years. This ain't nothing new. If there wasn't a virus, they would probably still find ways to rape and take out the treasury. I mean, they say that the Galleon's Passage, the rust bucket of the 7 seas that has our colors on it, shaming the island and infecting the seas, that rust bucket of a ship, that this is how corruption happens in Trinidad. They'll tell you that something worth X and they'll overcharge, and the money they overcharge to build something, like let's say, there's calling figures here, let's say something costs $10 million to build a contract, $10 million to build. These big boys and them out there, they're going to say that that's going to cost $500 million. And the few corrupt politicians they have in their pocket, they're going to do that. They're going to put that price there. And they're going to slice it off, and everybody going to get a kickback or a pay or a play. So everybody's involved. When it comes to the corruption, everybody's involved. You understand? Our next door neighbor is Venezuela. This is a transshipment point for a lot of the cocaine and all the corrupt, all that to go all over the place. This is just a hub. To us, it's an island. To them, it's a warehouse. This is a warehouse where there's hide the stuff. You understand? And they don't have it for long. They just have it there, and maybe somebody just trickle down. Because small men on the ground who feel they're running thing, but in reality, they are puppets. They're being manipulated, because an average normal street gangster isn't going to see the kind of money that a corrupter who wearing suit and tie go and see. There's more thieves wearing suits and ties than they have with their pants hanging down. You understand? These guys could only steal money for a day. These people steal with the intention of stealing for at least 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 years down the road. They don't thief No, for now. This thief down the road and for the next generations. And I've said it again. 1% is not Syrian Lebanese. 1% is any race of people that wants to live better than the rest of the population, use the rest of the population to advance themselves in their megalomaniac, in their the egomania, basically. Their ego allows them to think that they're better than everybody and that everybody has to bow to them, basically. They want to be like a royal family, you know? They want to be the ruling class of the society. And they use money, corruption, the control of jobs, the control of illicit drugs, alcohol, prostitutes, because that is another big racket that going on. The prostitution trade in Trinidad and Tobago is no secret. We're not talking about some hoes on the Morris. We're talking about some high-level female human traffickers who, as I said before, these women very much scared because things have gone out of control. A few years ago, we could never be doing all this to women. There was so much groups out there in the streets that was protecting some of these women and all kind of thing. They couldn't do what they used to do. You understand? They could never do some of the things that they was doing. But now, because that group or group of individuals is no longer, well, they still are wrong, but not like how they was in the 80s and 90s. And those who know what we're talking about. Salek Salam, but is a situation where crime itself has completely spiraled out of control and it's going to reach a point where it's going to choke one of their own, be it the rich 1%. Like I've said, they eventually will suffer at least a little backlash from crime. And as we all know, that's the only reason laws change in Trinidad and Tobago. It was all the time weed was whatever, lock them up, whatever. But when one of their own, or if one of their own gets caught in the illicit trade, they start thinking, maybe we should not have this illegal to the point that we have it illegal in case one of our own gets caught in the spider's web, so to speak. Coming to my parlor, said the spider to the fly. They don't want their people getting caught the way our people get caught. They don't want our people in the same jail cell shitting on the same gazette paper that our people have to shit on. That's the realities of jail. Jail, as they've always said, people who went to jail have said it time and time again. Jail is not nice. And our jail is a human despair-destroying facility. It is a human destroying facility. No one becomes rehabilitated in jail. That's a fairy tale. That's a fairy tale that pompous egotists tell people to believe their own rubbish, to support the insanity that they call the system. If they really wanted to clear the backlog that they have in the system, then what they need to do is, if they're serious about this marijuana thing, legalizing it, what they need to do, release all the people with marijuana convictions, expulge the record, and throw all of that out of the caseload. And most of the caseload, most of it, if you really think about it, a lot of it is marijuana charges. So that would clear out a large number of the cases that just piling up. They are not saying to release murderers and killers. They had to face the law, how they face it. Another thing is that in America, when you arrest someone, there's a clock. There's a clock from the time you arrest them, interrogate them, to when you put them on remand yard, that you have to get that case to get a conviction. We've never had that because we just think we advance, but in Trinidad, we be backwards. We backwards when it comes to the law. We believe throw them in there and whenever we want to deal with them, we'll deal with them. But that is human cruelty. And that is extremely draconian and sadistic and insidious. And that has to stop. That has to stop. These people have to understand that they don't work for themselves. They work for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They don't work for themselves, they work for us. Let's never get that confused. We have the power because we put them there with our vote. That is what it is, and it is what it is. A truth will always be a truth, and a fact will always be a fact. Moving right along. In breaking news now, a piece of good news. The teenage girl, I think her name is Alea Marcel, the founder. Thank God she's still alive. The 14-year-old girl that was missing for the longest while from Crystal Heights, Brazil, the founder. She's still alive, she's safe. And I want to say this now. As much as we talk about the police and as much as sometimes they might not always be right, I want it to be said here on this podcast now, right? That not all police officers involved in corruption, chicanery, nastiness, dirtiness, unfairness, and brutality. So we have, I had to say, full respect to the La Hakata police, the founder. She's safe, she's still alive. She's been reunited with her family. Thank God for that. The founder, she's safe. She was missing, I believe, since the 13th of February. They was asking for assistance, and they found her. They found that thing just yesterday. And safe, and she reunited with the family. So consider that in the podcast the positive note for the day. Because with the podcast, I like to talk about different things, but we had to keep positivity alive. We had to talk about something positive. It can't always be negative, and just a sort of Debbie Downer and oh God, and all this sort of depressive kind of thing. So we had to talk something positive as well. So there's that. Also, in news, the daycares that were closed since March of last year, 2020, still closed. They ain't opening. So that means, because according to the COVID restrictions, it used to be like 20 people, 10 kids there, but now they close all those places down. All of them closed. So those establishments also are still closed. They're still locked down. They're not opening it. The minister, the Alsing, say, nah. You see, 10 may seem like a small number, but due to their age, it's impossible to have all of them, in that kind of social environment. So those places still close. The association, represented by Aaron Pollard and 2 other representatives, daycares have been closed since March 2020, which has seen a number of owners close their doors permanently. This COVID thing ain't playing with people. The association presented a number of proposals which were ultimately rejected by the minister and his team. On its proposal for daycares to be open with 10 children only, the minister explained that 10 children may seem like a small number, but due to their age, it's impossible to have them socially distanced or wear masks, as they're likely to hug, kiss, and even spit on one another, and thus spreading the disease. Which might not be too untrue, is little children, and they are. Further, Dr. Ramsaram, whatever his name is, Dr. Ramsaram explained that the children in other parts of the world would have developed MIS-C, multi-system inflammatory syndrome, as a result of contracting the virus. The condition causes the heart, lungs, blood vessels to become inflamed and require intensive care for up to 2 months. Lord Jesus, Papa Jesus, come down. The CMO said there has been 20 cases of these children being dealt with like that. The minister registered his concern that once these places are reopened, that the numbers would increase, and the ministry not willing to take that risk. Dr. Hines said officials are aware of the fact, and in some daycares are in fact operating in hiding That wouldn't surprise me. The streets had to eat. But this is in small numbers, which would spike if the government were to say, all right, open them back. So basically, people running underground daycares right now. Because, with everything going on, as I say, streets had to eat. The panel advised that even though they sympathize with the plight of daycare owners, they don't, but okay, that's cute, and employees, it is a management risk that they don't feel comfortable taking at this stage of the game. Yeah, okay, but they'll allow weddings for certain prominent businessmen's sons and daughters, but they wouldn't allow this. Things that make you go, Moving along, the panel advised, the CMO advised the association to draft a list of suggested guidelines in preparation for the safe reopening of daycares, which he promised to review and make recommendations and additions. Additionally, the minister advised, hold on, the minister advised the association to call on daycare owners across the country to register their establishment with the child authority so that when the time came for reopening, there would be a concise list of daycares in operation to facilitate the monitoring and compliance of reopening guidelines. Lord Jesus, help us in this madhouse. So now, even like daycares is a bacchanal. Daycares is a situation in and of itself. Daycares is a scene in and of itself. It's not easy because what are people to do in reality? Because you have to understand the working people of Trinidad and Tobago, which they don't. There's mothers who I know personally who have 4 children, and they might be young, they might be going daycare. Not all of them, not all 4 might be going daycare. There's different ages, of course, but they'll have 1 or 2, the little young ones, and even these new parents who have these children now. What are they supposed to do with this whole thing? What are they supposed to do? These people don't really business want to do affect them, And this COVID-19 virus is showing people without a shadow of a doubt that they don't really care about us. You understand what I'm showing you? They're just pretending that they care. They come in with all these little speech and all these little old talk. But in reality, the truth is, they don't give a damn how all you make all the thing. What they care about is wear a mask, and when we come to vaccinate, open your veins big, wide, and bulging to take that shot. That's what they care about. But what is the fate of the teachers? What is the fate of the students of Trinidad and Tobago? School has been closed for God knows how long. And what most students would consider a dream come true, no school, the home, is going to slowly turn into a nightmare because there's no order. I mean, the order of things has been thrown out of whack. Completely thrown out of whack. You understand? And they have no schools, nobody really working. It's a struggle and a half to get a job. And nobody ain't getting no ends. Nobody ain't getting no employment. Nobody is getting nothing out of this country economic-wise. The only people who seem to be surviving, that seem to still, despite a worldwide epidemic that everybody feeling and suffering, the only people that seem to be still around and surviving is the rich. That little nerd up in America, this Gates that I have up there, he looking more and more suspicious with this virus thing. He looking like he have a hand in it, or if you don't have a hand in it, he look like is mutually beneficial for people to really be in vaccination mode or to be vaccinated. There was something that I researched on the internet that I have to share with all you, where they say that it's to keep the population of the world at a certain number, meaning we had to kill some people. We had to literally take some people out by hook or by crook. However, we had to kill them. We had to kill them. Whether they all had to get bombed out, whether they had to get killed, whether they had to get burned to death, whatever had to happen to those people, had to happen to them people. You understand? And that's just what it is. They gotta go. You understand? Because the earth, they believe, is too much people on the earth, and it's become to a point now where it's so much people living on this little spinning dot in the world that we call planet Earth, that they can't deal with it, and they wanted the numbers to go down. So we don't know if the elite, as they say, the elite, the Illuminati, the enlightened ones, the Satanists with money, we don't know if they call a shot and say, hey, let me get a virus, release this virus, and start to kill out a large number of the population. That to them is just air suckers. They're just sucking up the air. They have no purpose. They're sucking up the air. Time to take them out. Time to take them out, you know? And it getting really, really sad. But I do believe the darkest that is bright, it is darkest before the dawn. And I do believe that we can continue to push on and survive this set of madness. But I'm telling you, we'll have a hell of a story to tell our grandchildren when we have them. In more lighter news, more warmer news now, the Barkeepers Operations Association of Trinidad and Tobago bought the bar's looking to open back, so it looked like we might be able to get a drink and take a drink with all this stress after all. So they have a little silver lining in this whole thing. There's a little light at the end of the tunnel with this whole C19 madness, as it goes like this. The Barkeepers and Operations Association of Trinidad and Tobago, both, is urging other stakeholders in the entertainment and food and beverage sectors to engage in dialogue with the authorities on the economic recovery of the sector, because as we know, bars have been hit hard with the C19. Bars, food places, I mean, they've been hit something terrible in the wake and the wave of the C19 disaster that's going on all over the world. With the borders still closed and restrictions in place on bars operation, both said that many of those in the industry have been feeling the financial strain and pain. Yes, they have. Bars closed down, man can't get a drink. It's total chaos. And in times like this, honestly, we need a real stiff one. A drink, that is. It said it's making headway in having discussion with both the ministers of Health and Finance, that's Colin Imbert and Dalsing, for those who don't know. In a statement, both said the Barkeepers and Operations Association of Trinidad and Tobago will take this opportunity to thank the Minister of Health, the Honorable Terence Dalsing, the CMO Dr. Roshan Ramsaram, Dr. Ivory Hines, and of course, the Minister of Finance, Colin Imbert, for giving us the opportunity to meet and have a constructive and meaningful dialogue. Both themselves is urging others to follow suit, commending the Trinidad and Tobago's Promoters Association, the TTPA, and various other restaurateurs for their recent statements regarding the restrictions on the associated sectors. Yeah, it's true. I mean, the bar industry does play a very vital role in in both our tourism sector, which that completely dead right now because of C19, that gone. Nobody can go nowhere. Everybody had to pull in their own corner. And I don't know when tourism will open back, because contrary to popular belief, even if we manage to get a cure for C19, which it looks like that might be a little longer than people expect, because people they want to take this thing, the vaccine, and with good reason. We don't know. I mean, we need to see some ministers take it first. We need to see some big wigs take that injection, watch and see what happens for a little while. Then people might think about taking that injection. People are just taking that injection just so, because you think they should take it. Now, the bar industry does play a crucial role in our culture. It's been culturally known for Trinis on a Saturday or on a Sunday night to go to the bar and take a drink and relax. They have all kind of different bars. Being from Trinity myself, J Malone's was the spot, but that probably closed down. That probably gone. Pick clean through the fact that they can't pay the rent to the mall. So, a lot of businesses closing down because of this epidemic. A lot of well-known businesses are pretty much kaput. While the promoters provide a stage for our artists and the vibes for our people, the vibes, yes, for people during Carnival, which, is pretty much cancelled. Carnival, there's not going to have that this year, which is really a crying shame. Carnival is one of the peak holidays for not only young people, but for cultural expression in Trinidad and Tobago. That's been taken away from us because of the C-19. Moving right along. We, the bar owners, provide the same opportunity and vibes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year to our local artists and talent free of charge. That's pretty amicable of them, I must say. That's very, very, very good. And I ought to give credit where credit is due. The association said, however, that it will be bearing and will continue to bear the extraordinary and extreme burden for the health and safety of all citizens in the entire population of Trinidad and Tobago, as they should. Now, we think about what causes crime and all these other things in the area of Trinidad and Tobago. It's really a lack of jobs. And as if this thing continues, a lot of places closing down, businesses getting put out a commission, there might be a higher spike in crime. Because when a lion kills a deer to feed its family, the lion is never charged with murder. Was once said a wise man in Trinidad and Tobago. That when a lion kills a deer, the lion itself is never charged with committing the act of murder. And it's going to reach that point where we might have to do what we have to do to feed our young ones, our offspring, our youngs, our children, our picnics, so to speak, And we're trying to hold on in this country. Most Trinidadians, we try to be positive-minded people, striving for betterment, striving for the right thing, to teach our children the right thing and not teach them the wrong thing. But sometimes situations reach a point where people end up doing things that they might not have wanted to do. People might reach a point where they're in a situation where they have to do things criminal-wise that they don't want to do. These girls you see out there selling themselves on the Maurice, these guys selling drugs, they don't want to be out there, But they've probably been pushed in a situation where society is so unaccepting of them, be it because of the race or the section of the country that they come from, that they have to stoop and go to these kind of lengths to do what they have to do to feed the family. I've always said that when he who opens a door closes a prison cell, and until that is the mentality of the one at the top, because who much is given, they say much is expected of, and we in this country, the rich in this country, the elitists, so to speak, the ones with the cash flow, the moolah, they don't feel like they owe these peasants, as they probably think of them, a damn thing. They don't owe them a penny. They don't owe them a dollar. They don't owe them a shilling unless they're working for them. So slavery never really died. We just changed the chains of slavery. You see? We just went from enslaving each other in chains and beating each other and working each other from dusk till dawn to commercializing the slavery and putting it in a way that the people, they're not slaves, but they're what they call wage slaves. Because most of them, and I myself have been in that situation, where you're bouncing from check to check, you're bouncing from job to job, and even if you manage to get a substantial job, even if you get a government job, they're going to raise the rates of things so high that nothing that's worth having is going to be in your affordable budget. So you're going to make just enough to survive, but you're not going to make enough. You're not going to make enough to actually live life. You're not going to have enough money to live the life that you think you should be living and that you deserve to live. You work hard. You deserve the better things in life. We as Trinidadians, we work ourselves to the bone. We deserve just as much of the wealth in this country that has been given to the one percenters and all these people, and they live like kings and queens and medieval warlords, while we live like we scrape trying to make out our existence. And my worst fear for my country, Trinidad and Tobago, is that we end up like a real tool like Haiti or City Solite or one of these countries that were not always sober, were picked clean by the rich and corrupted politicians. And last but certainly not least, in this full, nearly hour-long podcast, the government is working to try to repair the manufacturing sector. Jesus, as my mother used to say. The whole thing, the show is a wrap. We in a kind of mad state, and I think everybody trying to do as much as they can. Now, the article itself says the Minister of Trade and Industry is encouraging emerging signs of resurgence in the manufacturing sector, noted by Republic Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, CBTT. This is positive news, which it really is. It's positive news now that the government is trying to rebuild the manufacturing sector and mostly the wider private sector. It's doing everything it really can because, as we know, if you study anything with economics in Trinidad and Tobago, you'll know that our manufacturing sector in Trinidad and Tobago is actually the third highest contributor to our country's GDP, that is gross domestic product. And we really need this to kind of stay afloat, because if this does in fact crash and go to the ground, we are pretty much going to be in shit's creek. We're pretty much going to end up a lot like people talk about third world countries, but Trinidad is not a third world country. Trinidad is a country that may seem third world, but with the ambitions to be first world. If you look at some of the things we try to do, our problem is the systemic corruption from the top, not the goons, not the goontas on the ground. No, not them. You understand? That's a problem that could be easily fixed if you give the places, these hotspots that I was talking about on the last episode, hope, opportunity, chance, a little understanding, instead of discrimination, gunshot, bullets, and a quick trip to the morgue, then maybe things would be different. But we don't do that because we don't care about them. We don't care about them. You understand? We see them as the enemy. So, the mentality of most of them who bring in the dance, the one percenters, is we'll eat with the best of them, which is us, and gunshots at the rest of them, which is we. Gunshots for them. You see, we think that the goon business is only operating these, what is called slums or the ghetto, so to speak. But that is not true. That's not true. That's not true at all. It's really the ones on high that plan all the criminal activities, and they stay like the invisible chess masters while everything goes to their liking as they've planned. They are the men behind the curtain. Them is the men that really running the show. We are just people who suffer the consequences of their machinations, so to speak. And it goes on and on and on. The game don't stop because you want it to stop. The game continues and goes on and on and on. It don't stop because you think it should stop. It goes on and will go on until we as the people finally put a stop to it. Now, not to get backtracked here, back to the story that I was reading about the government trying to reestablish or revise the manufacturing sector, which is pretty much dead on its ass, but they're trying to bring it back to life. Now, the ministry pledges to build positive development and will continue to work closely with the manufacturing sector to transform the economy. The government has allotted $50 million to the sector for the fiscal 2021 for an overseas market development and exporting promotional facilities to assist manufacturers in the boost of exports in the traditional and new export markets, meaning whatever traditionally made a lot of money for Trinidad, be the other products and all those other stuff, whatever Trinidad has that's a national resource, speaking of which, we have too much things in this country that we don't take advantage of. We have, I believe, the second hottest pepper. And by the way, breaking news, they've allowed women now, I hear, to have pepper spray. Now they could take this, a good thing, and spin it even better because we have the second hottest pepper, scorpion pepper. You could use that in a way to help make the pepper spray. I believe you could use that to make the pepper spray, which would be even more effective because anybody who's eaten a scorpion pepper had the unfortunate thing to eat that. You know, they probably still remember the burning sensation through the entire body, like fire enter the flesh. So imagine that power hitting a potential human trafficker, rapist, or sodomite directly in his eyeball corneas. I have no sympathy for them personally, baby girl. If you're trying to rape you and you have the pepper spray, go strong. Burn the eyeballs out. Burn them clean out. He must feel that because he wanted you to feel something too. Suffering and torture. He wanted to take you and do you God knows what. So you have to do the Lord's work and burn the nignog or whoever the guy is that's trying to take you. And I think that they need to start watching some of these. Now, I'm not saying all taxi drivers involved in it, but there should be some kind of registration for taxi drivers or something. So they've been trying that for years, but that is a whole nother story for a whole nother time. Now, among its other efforts, the development of a strategic framework to double select non-energy manufacturing exports by 2025, Papa, and the procrastination of the sector is a targeted area of economic activity for the transformation of the economy in keeping with Vision 2030, National Development Strategy, NDS. Yes. They're fighting up here. You could say what you want, but they are fighting to try to make this country a better place. In last news, the last part of this podcast is, and I quote, Carnival cancelled. Carnival cancelled. It is. Now, Carnival itself, and I believe this, Carnival is a way of life. It just is. I remember being younger, going with my mom, my dad, my brother at times. We would go down to the stand to watch the mass and all that back and all that jazz. It was good. As a kid, I used to run around wild, enjoying myself, enjoying the whole event. But now we can't do that. No, we can't do that because everything under lockdown. And I just want to say this here to the people that are listening and still here with me. Carnival is more than an event. It's more than just a party. Carnival is almost spiritual for some of us. It just is. Carnival, in the history of Carnival, really had to do with, if you look at the meaning of the word carnival, which means farewell to the flesh. Now, carnival is, there's a smart man from long days. Carnival means farewell to the flesh. It also was a way that the slaves used to make fun of the slave masters without them knowing that. You understand? Our heritage and the people in our heritage have always been very, very clever, very, very intelligent. There's never been no dummies or stupid men in the batch. So in this winding hour, we will talk about Carnival, the cancelling of it, And is that beneficial to the people of Trinidad with COVID-19? Some could say yes, because with the mass crowds, the chance of spreading is even higher. But there's some people who they've been playing carnival since the late 90s. The late 90s. And now they can't. There's no time with everything that's going on. The COVID-19 epidemic has given us space in the almost flawless reign of carnival in Trinidad and Tobago. You could be a high court judge in a bejeweled bikini at that time. You could be from any walk of life. That was us as a one. Fetting, partying, enjoying life, taking a wine here. You could see the fittest man whining on the fattest woman, and you could see vice versa. None of these things matter on the road, as Trinis would tell you straight. A vibe is a vibe, but a rhythm is a rhythm. Right? But I do believe that nothing horrible lasts forever, Trinidad. And we, as a country, have faced far worse than this. We have survived far worse than this. And we're going to survive far worse than this. They can't beat me. I still believe that God is a Trini. And in the immortal words of Patrick Manning, when it comes to COVID-19, we're going to beat it in the north, south, east, and the west. By the way, to the people in the west, in Diego Martin, we might not have water, which is a usual thing for us living up here. For oh God, where's the day? For Thursday, they wouldn't have no water Thursday. Between 9 and 4, they wouldn't have no water Thursday. During that period, they wouldn't have no water Thursday. So, we should stock up now, because how that plate is be when they have no water in the house. That's a whole different kind of bacchanal. Now, talking about carnival in Trinidad, and the fact that I cannot believe, me personally, that not only was it cancelled, but I do believe a lot of people are going to be angry, because a lot of people eat off carnival. It's not just whining and gyrating and fetting. A lot of people have a lot of interest in carnival in a strange way. There's a lot of people who have stock and say in this carnival thing. It's not something that they just... It's a big money maker for people who make the costumes. I mean, you look at the Moko Chumbies, Kilimanjaro, all these guys, which I think Kilimanjaro is one of the best Moko Chumbi groups that have around. But they're not going to be able to display their natural talent this carnival. The people who make all the costumes and the masks, they're out of a job. They ain't getting nothing. You understand? Cheers. Yeah, so like I was saying, they're not going to be getting any kind of play right now. I mean, in a weird kind of way, a lot of people bent out of shape. A lot of, not just small people, but the high business people who have invested in carnival. We stand to take a heavy loss with this. We stand to take a heavy loss with this whole situation right now. It's not something that is just normal, that we could just take that and move forward and say, well, it's just a normal thing, and it's just something that just supposed to happen because of the COVID-19 or whatever. But to me, describing carnival is a spiritual and psychic renewal. I mean, you look at traditional mass, you look at, for example, you don't really need to look at what goes on with the National Carnival Commission when they bring out the whoop jabs, who there's the national, the annual ritual 40 days before carnival, the Blue Devil, the sailors, all these kind of people. And it's like they're not there. this year, and it's gonna be a very empty carnival. Well, it's gonna be really depressing to a certain degree. We have to be realistic at the same time. We really have to be realistic. A lot of these people that was big guys. We talking about, Peter Elias, and you're talking about David Dua. All of these guys, was big creative guys that created all these parades and all these kind of things. It looked like it would be very hard for them. Not even talking about the soca artists, forget about them. I mean, they have Marshall Montano making chocolate, so them boy and them in trouble. They have to go and look for a next hustle, because that hustle that they truly love, that is more than a hustle, has been temporarily closed off. But the streets are to eat, and real hustlers will eat regardless. Yes, Lord Jesus. So, with that being said, I want you all to go out there. With that being said, I want you all to stay close to family, pray, and try to see how much positivity we could get out of this whole situation that we're in. If you have to smoke something, drink something, hang out with your friends, your brethren, as they call them, your sister, cuddle up with your girl, your man, whatever you have to do, and try to get as much positivity out of this bleak and dark time that we're in. But know that at the end of it all, at the end of all of it, always remember that the darkest time in the night is right before the sun starts to rise and shine. And the sun will rise and shine on this world, on this country, and on this planet again. This cannot and will not continue for much longer in this country. Thank you for listening to my podcast. This has been The King's Throne Room, episode 2. We hope to do episode 3 in our timing very shortly. I appreciate you for staying so long and for listening. If you want, you can check my YouTube page, as well as my Facebook at Warren Holder. Also, The King's Throne Room. You'll see it as a picture of a red. It's the same picture that you will see pop up in the thumbnail. It's that same picture, a red throne, red and gold, and give it a listen, give it a like, tell me what you think. Suggestions are always welcome, and stay safe out there, Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the world. God bless. This is from your boy Holder, and this has been The King's Throne Room, episode 2.